But I think for me, what is even much more humbling, it's our electoral support. We managed to get 21% of the support of Soweto. Right. Something that has never happened. We took the ANC from the late 80s to right now, as I'm talking to you, to 53% in Soweto. There's never happened before. We took the DA also in the 80s. They're now in the suburbs at 65. So we're the only political party in this country that appeals to all South Africans.
Okay, well, here we are again, everybody. My name is Solimwe. Welcome to WorldView, the #1 media company where we explore everyone's perspective on things that can broaden our own worldview. Today, we're joined by what I can arguably argue is the darling of South Africa's media. Everyone's watching ActionSA. Where are they going? Who is this Herman Mashaba, and how did he jump from business from becoming very successful, from being a successful business person into becoming a fast-growing political party leader in South Africa? Well, he's here with us today, and let's see what he has to for us. And I'm sure that there's going to be a lot, because he's really coming right out of an election that's about to happen, and everything is happening in South Africa. People want to see what's going to happen with the ANC, what's going to happen with South Africa in 2024, and where the ActionSA party is going to be in all of this. Herman, welcome.
Thank you so much, Soli, and thank you so much for the introduction. Yes, absolutely. ActionSA is on the watch lot of everyone, South Africans and people of the world. I think if I look at the interest coming out of the international community, because they are concerned about the imminent collapse of South Africa. So on a daily basis, I get inquiries from the international communities to provide my insights into what's happening in South Africa. Is South Africa fixable or not? Which personally I still do believe South Africa can still be fixed.
Yeah, you know, I mean, when you ask South Africans about the ANC, why they keep voting the ANC or the ANC in, for those who do, of course, or why the ANC remains in power, a lot of what you hear people say is, but who else do we vote for? There's no alternative to the ANC. So you obviously have, the world is watching you, South Africa is watching you. You have no excuse to fail. You have got to succeed, not just for yourself, but for South Africa. Do you feel this pressure?
Without any doubt, Soli, I've just come back from Tshwane, Hot 96, where there's a by-election on Wednesday. And, you know, as we campaigning, doing door-to-door, stop at the busy intersections, South Africans stop in black and white, interestingly. They stop just wanting to take pictures with me, asking me to say, please don't fail us. You know, so we without any doubt, under a lot of pressure. But I think I got into politics solely not for any other thing than to unseat ANC. And I think that's something that some people don't understand when I tell them I'm in politics to unseat the ANC. I don't belong to the political world. I hate this job. Because sometimes people tell me, do you enjoy doing this? Tell me, can you enjoy this brutal job? This job is brutal, I hate it. But solely, this is an important job, and it's a rewarding job. Every time when people like what I've just illustrated, they stop and say, please, you're our last hope. You are the only and last hope. You are the only political party capable of unseating the ANC, because we demonstrated to them during the recent local government elections that we are capable of unseating the ANC and doing it democratically.
But just wait a minute. Is removing the ANC or unseating the ANC a means to an end for you, or an end to a means?
I think Solid, and I think, and your listeners, I think there's just no way that one can begin to think of fixing South Africa without removing the ANC. You know, so I think my role is to really facilitate the removal of the ANC so that we can give government to capable South Africans irrespective of their race, their color, their gender, and so forth, committed ethical leaders to run this country, not people like myself. I don't really believe that I was born to really be in politics for the rest of my life. But I think my privileged position at the moment puts me in an ideal position actually to steer the removal of the ANC. And once the ANC is removed, that's then put in capable ethical leaders. And not that I will stay behind and not to watch what they're doing. We'll still obviously ensure that whatever they do, we watch them. And I'll always encourage South Africans from the day of the launch of ActionSA on the 29th of August 2020 to say, please, don't give us a blank check. Hold us accountable. Don't wait for 28 years before you remove them. I said, if ActionSA fails you, please punish them come the next election. So in that way, that's the only way I believe that we can actually save our country. So ActionSA, it's a vehicle that I want South Africans to use to save this country and fix it. It's not. It is not. A political party where it serves personal interest. It's a vehicle. It's like a car. You want to move from Joburg. You want to move to Joburg to Pretoria. The quickest way you get into the car gets you there. But at the end of the day, the vehicle it's what took you quickly to Pretoria. So ActionSA, I would really, and I'm positioning it to really play that role of being the one to really be the guardian of a society and actually get South Africans interested in politics. Some of them will get interested in politics directly, like I've just done, getting my hands dirty. But some get involved by voting. Go and vote political parties in. Go and vote political parties out. You are not married to political parties. Or don't vote for political parties because people look like you. Vote for political parties for what they do. And when they don't do it, punish them. This whole notion of people believing that their vote is a secret, that's what politicians have actually silenced people. I would really want South Africans to really have this culture of actually conveying their political preference in advance. Let politicians know. If you come to my house to come and talk to me to vote for you, I will tell you, no, I'm not going to vote for you, or I am going to vote for you. Let's reach a stage where human beings or civil society and the voters can reach a stage where their vote is not a secret. You can imagine, so if we can live in a world like that, then you're going to have accountable politicians.
Yeah, but
people get into politics for their own personal interest. But when they know that I'm going to be removed, then they'll be forced to deliver.
Hello, everyone. If you're interested in advertising on WorldView, drop us an email at worldview.help@gmail.com. We will send you an advertisement guide, which will include the rates and the process involved. A typical shout out for your company or project will be between 45 and 60 seconds. By advertising on our platform, you'll be supporting a company that wants to improve the public narrative. Once again, send us an email at worldview.help@gmail.com, which you can also find in the description below. Now, back to the interview.
But we also know, Herman, that we live in a world where, especially in some rural areas, if you say whom you voted for or whom you want to vote for, you might be personally attacked and harmed or denied of certain opportunities, privileges, and all that. But Herman, I want, before we go deeper into politics, because we're coming back to this, at some point, I want us to go back and talk about who is Herman Mashaba, this businessman. At what point did you decide, okay, let me take the invitation to go into politics? You became mayor of Johannesburg, but I'm parking that for just 10 seconds because you prompted me to want to ask you something else, which I found very interesting in what you said earlier about going towards 2024. We're going and I've heard you say this before, we're going to have a coalition of sorts. We can't expect that everybody who forms a political party will necessarily become the next president. If there's a coalition in the current, groupings of people who are involved in politics, or maybe even people who are outside of politics, whom do you see as a possible president of Future South Africa for everybody to rally around so that the ANC is seriously defeated?
Look, I think, Soli, that's going to depend on the outcome of the elections. I think whichever party that gets the majority might obviously be the one to drive who they invite and what percentage, because as I said, depending on the electoral support that you will get, will then depend how many parties you have to really invite. One thing that we're quite confident about as ActionSA is that come 2024, we are going to be the second biggest political party in the country, if not one. But would we be in a position to govern on our own? We don't think so at this point in time. It's still early. That we don't have enough time, resources, and the capacity to be able to really go and convince everyone to really give us outright majority. But in the event that we are number two, one thing for sure, over my dead body, that ActionSA under my leadership will go into a coalition with the ANC. That one is not negotiable. I'm happy to really work with other parties, and I think with the EFF is going to be very difficult. Also, in the sense that the economic policies and the racial rhetoric scares me. Those are things that I'm saying to myself at national level. EFF happen to really be a great partner at local government level because there are no ideological issues. At local government, you focus on service delivery, making sure that your streets are touched. You've got lighting.
They must stop threatening people with violence, visiting businesses, they must stop that.
No, it's exact. Look, I can't speak for them. That's why I'm just giving you my sense of what scares me about them. But I can tell you, when you work with the EFF at local government level, I can tell you they are the most reliable partner, the most reliable. You can trust them when they've given you a commitment on supporting your programs. You can be assured. Whereas the DA, they're the most unreliable. I mean, the DA can really say something to you now. 5 minutes later, when they leave, they're going to do something totally different. So it's we are in a very difficult situation. Right now, political parties that I have faith in terms of a local government to negotiate with, is the EFF and the Freedom Front Plus. The rest, I can tell you, it's a bit of a challenge because I don't really come from the world where I can mislead someone or lie to you. For me, I don't stand on the fence. If I agree with you, I agree with you. If I don't, I will tell you upfront. But whereas I can tell you my experience with a DA, they will tell you one thing and go and do something totally different 5 minutes later, which is really very unfortunate. But in the event the voter says work with those people, we'll work with them as long as it's not the ANC. And I don't really believe that we will be able to really attain an outright majority.
Okay. Look, do you remember the moment where Herman Mashaba, the businessman, got that call? I don't know. I mean, assuming that you got a call from somebody, Helen, Zille, perhaps, who said, listen, we want you to come in and help us out here. We want to turn around Johannesburg. Do you remember that moment? And do you regret having gotten into politics?
Absolutely not. I wasn't obviously called by Helen Zille. Helen, I can't say played a direct role. I've interacted with her. I think the person that actually ultimately convinced me was Mike Muriati. And I still have high regard for the man, because initially when Musi approached me to be the mayoral candidate, I said, Musi, please don't joke that I'm not one cut up for this. But obviously with development in South Africa deteriorating, and by then I had already had interaction with Mike Muriati, with John Moody and others. I then felt, you know what, if I don't really do it, who else? Because I think when I looked at the DA's candidates, there was just no way that any one of them was going to have an impact on the DA, on the ANC. And my belief was that we've got to remove the ANC. If we're going to remove the ANC, and I don't see anyone in the DA capable of doing this, I said to my family, let me accept it. And obviously, Zuma made it even more possible for me when he fired the Minister of Finance in the middle of the night.
Right. Do you, there are some people out there, I hope there are not many, who think that you became wealthy through BEE. I mean, like, obviously they have no sense of when you started the business, but maybe let's clear this out. I mean, are you a BEE beneficiary?
So, I started my business career in 1982 at the age of 22. When I turned, just before I turned 25, I started a manufacturing business called Black Like Me in Garangwa in 1985 under apartheid government. By 1990, I had my own state-of-the-art manufacturing factory in Mabopane, right in the township, employing over 2 people. The factory cost me over 10 million rents. I did not owe anyone a cent. At the time,
where did you find such money then?
I started my business in 1985, manufacturing Black Like Me. I started my factory in a 200 square meter factory with 2 partners and my wife. Make the stuff at night to go and sell on cash basis and so forth. Hire 1 person. You know, we started in January of 1985. By a year later, we were already occupying 5 units. You know, SBDC, Small Business Development Corporation.
Yes, yes.
They've got units all over the country. It's now today called Small Business Partners. They've got these industrial parks. I started in one. In January, took over in 1985 with a 30,000 rands loan from Walter Dube. Very expensive funding. You know what it cost me to really get the 30,000 rands funding?
Tell me.
Prime plus 10 plus 25% shares in the business.
Wow.
That is why business, business schools all over the world over the years when I was in business used to call me to come and address them, because here's a black youngster who started a business in the height of apartheid under the legislative framework, where said I could not. Started business with the most expensive funding, 30,000 rands. I had to pay that amount.
It was more like a machonesa to me.
Yeah, I had to repay that loan in 3 years. I paid it back in 7 months.
Wow, that's it. Do you regret getting into politics? Are there days when you wake up and you say, "What in the world did I do this for?"
In fact, I'm so grateful that I took this decision, because so you can imagine if there was no ActionSA, I can imagine who was I going to vote for in the recent local government election? Who were just over 500,000 South Africans? I don't know if you are aware. ActionSA, when we contested the local government elections last year, we were just over a year old, right under hard lockdown. That's when we launched the political party.
Right.
IEC made it difficult for us, including actually getting us to contest our municipal elections, our ward candidate without our party name on the ballot paper. But today, I can proudly tell you, we are the 6th biggest political party in the country. Out of 278 municipalities, we only contested in 6. Contesting as a logo, with IEC refusing to put our name. But today, I can proudly tell you, we are the 6th biggest political party. But I think for me, what is even much more humbling, it's our electoral support. We managed to get 21% of the support of Soweto. Something that has never happened. We took the ANC from the late 80s to right now, as I'm talking to you, to 53% in Soweto. There's never happened before. We took the DA also in the 80s. They're now in the suburbs at 65. So we're the only political party in this country that appeals to all South Africans. And now you've got to ask yourself, here's this capitalist, because I'm a capitalist. I'm unapologetic about this. I love the capitalist system. But at the end of the day, one can look at my track record as to how I've developed myself. I've used my business success in the dark days of this country's history. There's ANC people who are today chasing B, chasing everything. During the dark days of apartheid, successful businessmen and women like myself, other people that used to come to us for bail, for helping their families, and so forth and so forth. So basically, what happened is, if anyone says I've made money out of the B, it's up to them. But I made legal money.
Okay. So question. Yeah,
and I never regret that, apologize to anyone, and that's why, for me, I feel B has actually destroyed Black entrepreneurship. It's actually created this high unemployment. It has created this economic stagnation. Why do you think, if we make money out of a thing that, yes, as a Black businessman, when in the beginning, the white guys wanting to invest in their businesses, and ANC under still Ramaphosa talking about broad-based Black economic empowerment. And now you ask yourself, I've then said,
you have to allow me to ask questions, Herman. I know your passion, and I love your passion, but I'm going to interact with you. Now, what you did in Soweto is great. South Africa is massive. What will it take for ActionSA to replicate that in other parts of South Africa?
Well, I've just had 2 meetings before this interview. With my plans to put structures throughout the country. As you are aware, South Africa has got 9 provinces. At the moment, I have provincial chairpersons in 5 provinces: Gauteng, Western Cape, KZN, Eastern Cape, and Northern Cape. So I've got 4 more to go. And I've given a commitment to South Africa that by end of this year, all 9 provinces will have provincial chairpersons, and I've just really had a fantastic meeting right now to finalize to really have director of the national director of operations to ensure that all the structures that we've got. For your information, ActionSA has got, I think the last count was 160,000 volunteers all over the country. In Limpopo, where I don't have, I've never really been, we don't have a provincial chairperson. For the last 3-4 months, we see the teams out there launching 5-10 branches every single weekend in different parts of Limpopo. And I've never been to Limpopo. We don't have a provincial chairperson as yet, but I'm working on it. So we have to obviously ensure that we have national structures. We have to start obviously really identifying South Africans, Black and white, that are going to really serve our government. So that when we talk trade and industry, I have someone who obviously has got experience in trade and industry. When we put you as a Minister of Education, it must be someone coming from an educational background. So you will see within in coming months, as we get resources, we'll be introducing the South Africans, so that South Africans can know in advance the kind of people who are going to serve them in national government.
Okay, look, I mean, we've seen in recent months you attracting quite a number of significant people, personalities from the DA into ActionSA. I don't see you attracting people from the ANC, from the EFF, from other parties. Is it harder to get people in the ANC who are not happy with what their party is doing to come to the ActionSA party and other movements as well? Why is it that it seems like the DA people seem more attracted to coming to you than other parties?
I think if you look at DA as a party, I think majority of DA, honestly, at least 90% of DA people are good South Africans, professional, and people that feel comfortable to work with. Tell me, Soli, if I have to really recruit from the ANC, it's not an easy exercise. Unfortunately, ANC has created a monster out of public service. Not that there are no good ANC people, I'm sure they are, but it's not easy
Right.
to really find them. So, and we are not, I'm not going to wait. South Africa does not, we don't have luxury of time on our side, but you still see more and more DA people joining us. I don't know if by 2024, the DA might stand up with only Helen, Zille and John Steenhuisen, because I can tell you, right now it's just a question of affordability of attracting these people, because obviously they are parliamentarians and MPLs and all councils, so you can't just really expect them. They are not in a fortunate position like I am. As you can imagine, as a president of the country, I don't earn money from the party. You know,
Yeah.
how many South Africans are in that fortunate in a similar situation? So very few. So I can tell you right now, if even when ActionSA starts getting the resources, the DA is still going to bleed within the next few days, weeks and months. More and more credible, great DA people are going to join us. Look at what happened last week. We have just really our acquisition from the DA. Great guy. I mean, Michael Shackleton, the admitted attorney, masters in constitutional law with LLB, still studying for this thing, and he's got experience working from councillor, the MPL, even in member of parliament.
Okay.
And he's someone who loves this country.
Well, the thing is, everybody loves South Africa, Herman, but not everybody agrees with you on what needs to be done. Well, maybe the ANC doesn't love South Africa. Let me put that back.
Let me tell you something.
But here's the thing.
I'm not here to be loved or to make friends with anyone. That's something that I really want South Africans to understand. This job is not. I'm not here to make friends because I'll fail South Africans. I'll fail my children. I'll fail your children if I'm in this job to make friends. And one thing I've accepted in life: whatever you're going to do, not everybody's going to like you, and I'm comfortable with it. It's important is to be loved, to be liked by majority.
Now, you and Helen Zille seem to have a very strange relationship. You mentioned not too long ago that the one of the days or the day you regretted the most is when you shook her hand, and she came back later and said she's okay with you having left the DA. What's going on between the two of you?
Well, we make mistakes as human beings, but that's fine. I mean, that's life. But if I look at it in reflection,
so you don't see yourself having dinner together one day with Helen Zille?
Then I think I'm happy not to really bump into Helen anyway. It doesn't matter. And I'm sure she's happy as well. It doesn't matter to me because I don't need Helen as a friend, and I'm sure Helen doesn't really need me. So I'm happy to really live without Helen. I don't need Helen's friendship, honestly.
Right.
And I'm sure Helen doesn't need mine. And I think Helen and I must just accept that we can never be friends.
Yeah. Okay. Look, let's talk about policies broadly, at a really broad level. South Africa is a huge industrialized economy in Africa. There's a lot more to South Africa to make that country, that machinery running, than the seeming appearance that Herman Mashaba is so concerned about illegal immigration. What are you saying to are you aware that when you push the illegal immigration thing, and I'm not saying you should push it, I'm not saying that, I'm saying the impression gets given in some quarters that that's all you're doing, and what you're doing is fueling the seemingly growing rates of xenophobia in South Africa, and you're not really paying sufficient attention to other policies that require to govern a country as South Africa, as big as South Africa. Are you aware that you might be hurting your image, in other words, to be associated only with illegal immigration, with the fight against immigration, when you seem to be too focused on it?
But I think anyone saying ActionSA or Herman Mashaba is focused only on illegal immigration. These are people that are there with propaganda, you know, and they are not going to deter me, because these are beneficiaries of this illegal activity. I've been clear from day one. I think I made this pronouncement when I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg on the 1st of December 2016, after realizing the negative impact of government of the ANC failing to control our borders and our immigration laws. And I raised this matter that I'm not really prepared to live in a country where I see human trafficking, I see drugs being brought into our communities, destroying our people. I cannot really live in a country where people come from Pakistan, come and start up, establish their own manufacturing of South African identity documents and so forth, and be expected to keep quiet. And when you raise this, obviously people who are benefiting out of this, they then obviously complain, including the ANC at the time. Remember, so when I raised this matter, I was even taken to the South African Human Rights Commission and allowed them to really do their work. No one, including yourself, would really find anywhere where Herman Mashaba has never really raised something that is contained in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa regarding control of our borders. I believe in the rule of law. It's one of the core values of ActionSA. So if people who benefit out of illegal activity and they think they can silence us, they are not going to. Because solely if you might be some of them, and I doubt if some of them they're doing it for the right reasons. I think they've got other agendas. Let's say if I can give them the benefit of doubt that meanwhile they are sympathetic to illegal immigration, says, please, these are vulnerable people. But solely, someone else might also have a passion towards a rapist, and he says, but you know what, this person just raped, didn't kill anyone, be sympathetic to them. And then someone says, no, but you know, this guy killed, he wasn't in a right frame of mind. You know, so where do you then actually stop as a country? Why then do you have laws if these laws don't mean anything? You are using emotions. So a country cannot use emotions. That's why as a country, you have a constitution and we have what we call the rule of law. So for someone to call for the rule of law, then you then insult them. So I'll be the last person to really be silenced in that regard.
So just to be clear and people understand where Herman Mashaba stands on ActionSA, of course, because you are the leader of ActionSA, Herman Mashaba is not opposed to the presence of foreigners or people who come from other parts of the world in South Africa, as long as they're properly registered or documented. We know they are there, we know what they're doing. They don't sneak in through open borders or by bribing someone. You have no problem with Ghanaian, American, Kenyan lecturers and professional business people, etc. in South Africa, as long as they document. You don't have a problem with that.
So let me be a broken record. And you can even to go and look at the report prepared by the South African Human Rights Commission. I've always been very clear. This country, for the last 300 years plus, was built at the back of migrants. And the only way we can build the economy of South Africa, we have to attract people of the world to come to South Africa. Right. And when they're here, we say, please come to South Africa legally. And when you are here, please respect our laws. However, and I go to even a level where I'm saying some people might come to our country without documentation because they are running from despots like Robert Mugabe. Okay, they end up in South Africa. We have the responsibility as South Africa immediately make sure that we process them so that we can establish whether they're here for the right reasons or not. If they deserve our protection as a country, we must do so. But
Right.
if they're here for nefarious reasons, they're here for criminal activity, we must send them back to their countries.
Okay, that's clear.
Is that too much to ask? Is it
No. But you know, sometimes, Herman, as you know, in politics, you could be saying something, but you might end up having to say it over and over again because somebody is not listening. And some people are not necessarily pushing propaganda. They didn't hear the message.
No, I'm just asking you what I've just articulated to you. That's why I started I bet I'm happy to be a broken record. Yeah. Tell me what I've just articulated to you.
What you've just articulated to me makes sense to me, but we should hope that it makes sense to the people out there who are going to listen to the interview, especially those who never understood exactly where you stand. But I understand
but I can tell you it is not going to make sense to the criminal syndicates. And
yeah, sure. Yeah, no, people who do not want to hear will not hear, no matter how well you say what needs to be said to them.
That's a fact of life. What I'm actually articulating doesn't sit well with the beneficiaries of the soul. Sure. What they will do, they will employ, including getting so-called experts to come and call you names and insult you. So I'm happy to really live with
now.
Such.
You said earlier that you'd be happy to work with the EFF at local government election. I understand that, but Malema keeps calling for the borders to be broken. He seems to be happy for people to just flock into South Africa as long as they are brown like us or black like us, or whatever however you prefer to put it. He seems to be he's pushing anarchy. This man, and you want to work with him?
Even the DA recently, has actually joined the EFF rhetoric because we've got the new Minister of Home Affairs, Herman Mashaba, who's doing everything possible to bring back the rule of law, and DA is calling him xenophobic.
Wow, that's interesting.
The DA calls Dr. Mashaba xenophobic, because he's calling for saying, no, we've got to deal with this corruption within Home Affairs. We've got to close our borders, allow only people who are here legally, and those who are here for criminal intent, we must send them back. DA is now calling him xenophobic.
The Dr. Mutoledi effect is an interesting one because he's an ANC minister. I mean, surely he's not pushing his own personal agenda. Do you think the ANC has changed its mind about the presence of or the continued arrival of illegal or undocumented people in South Africa? Surely he's not acting for himself. What do you think is going on there? Is there like a turnaround?
I don't care whether he's got the mandate of the ANC or not. I care about is he protecting the sovereignty of South Africa.
Okay.
If whether he's got the mandate or not, and is there to protect the sovereignty of South Africa, I will support him.
Okay. So let's shift to something else. In Cape Town or in the Western Cape, there's this phenomenon. I thought it was going to die long ago, but it seems to keep coming up. People want, because of the madness of South Africa, of what South Africa has become under the African National Congress, some people want Cape Town or the Western Cape to separate. They want some kind of Cape exit from South Africa. What are your views on that? Would you allow that, first of all, apparently the Constitution, so just a minute, apparently the Constitution allows premiers of provincial premiers to call for referenda. If a premier of the Western Cape were to say, well, let's ask voters who are registered in the Western Cape whether or not they want the Western Cape to separate from the rest of South Africa, would you support that?
It'll never happen for as long as I'm alive. With Western Cape or any of the 9 provinces will never separate from South Africa. So I think anyone wanting to come out with that narrative, they are most welcome to dream, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's fair enough. Now, earlier you answered me in terms of the whom you would back to become president. Now, you actually, it's quite interesting what you said is everybody must go into the elections. Let's see how much support you come up with. The one who comes out with the biggest percentage of support will then we will have a conversation about whether that person becomes the next president, or we back that person to become the next president. You're not saying, wait a minute, ahead of the elections already, let's mobilize around a person. You don't say that. And that person could be not Herman Mashaba. You're not open to that.
No, I think absolutely. You know what, for us as ActionSA, and I can speak on behalf of my party, even if we are the biggest political party and we coalesce with other parties, and there's a rising star, someone who has the potential to become the president of the country outside ActionSA, but is in coalition with us. Personally, I'll be very comfortable to really get someone better qualified. As much as will be the majority party, will never have I personally would not really have a problem if someone else actually be the leader, as long as that person is qualified.
So are we going to see the ActionSA over the next, not even 2 years to the next election? I mean, let's assume that we are of course going to have elections in 2024, despite what happens at the ANC Electoral Conference in December. Will ActionSA be more articulate on all the different policy stances like foreign affairs and social development, BEE? I mean, there are so many people in South Africa who are relying on grants, on RDP houses. I mean, this is crazy. How do you turn it around? What would your party be, or what would be its stance rather on so many people relying on government handout in South Africa? I mean, how do you change it? How do you turn it around?
So you don't have to be an economist or a political scientist or just an ordinary person using common sense. The ANC's current grant system is not sustainable. However, I think it's important, any government anywhere in the world, to have short-term intervention measures. But let me now tell you what's happening, low-hanging fruits in this country. You know, in this country, I grew up in an environment where people who did not work were those who did not want to work. I was born and raised in Amanskral. I started my business in Harango industrial area. Those industrial areas, as I'm talking to you right now, they're lying empty. In Harango industrial area used to have millions of people employed. In fact, just this morning, I was talking to my wife about some of the factories when I grew up. Used to work 24 hours, 7 days a week, never closed. That's why
what happened?
Today, ANC closed them down. They closed them down in Kwandebele. Because ANC believes in a socialist system where people are dependent on the state. At the moment, you can't just immediately take away those grants. But at the same time, I think in South Africa, honestly, we're sitting on a golden opportunity where, with immediate effect, I've already started doing the study on those factories. As soon as ActionSA is in government, these factories must be given to the private sector here in South Africa and investment community all over the world. Here's a factory, you get it for nothing. Let's see, depending on how much you want to invest, how many people you're going to employ. No trade labor union will be in partnership with ActionSA, and no labor union will have a veto right on our policies. But our role as government is to ensure that obviously fairness is there in terms of making sure that health and safety measures are taken care of, but not to tell people you must pay someone 50,000 rands. That is not government's business. Government business is to regulate solely. As an entrepreneur, he opens a factory. That factory must obviously have health and safety measures in place so that you don't obviously put the lives of our people at risk. How much you pay them, it's got absolutely nothing to do with government. But once you promise them you're going to give them 10,000 rands a month, we expect you from the Department of Labor, please give them a letter so that if you don't pay them, they can come to us. Then we can take you.
I mean, I totally understand. It's going to be, it makes sense, but it's going to be really hard to mobilize against the impression out there, or the perception in some communities that if you remove the ANC from power, they're going to lose all those privileges, because they call them privileges, getting even if it's 350 rands per month from government, or I've had some people, the more children you have, the more money you get from government. How do you say to people, wait a minute, we can do better than this. We don't have to be relying on government. And this is how we're going to make sure you don't have to rely on government.
So I think I speak from a privileged position right now. Because when I discuss with you some of the issues, I'm not talking ideology or research.
Sure.
It's interesting when people say to me, some people believe that ANC cannot be unseated. I've got evidence. You know what we did last year, local government elections, when everyone says we've got to bring the ANC under 50%. We brought them to their early 30s. A party that was only a year old, a party that IEC made it contest as a logo. 21% of Soweto votes belong to this political party. So what I'm trying to say, this affects, I'm not giving you research work, because the research, the results and reality and facts, I'm giving you facts. So for anyone to actually believe that ANC cannot be unseated, it's like someone telling me in 1980 that the National Party cannot be removed from government. No human being or government anywhere in the world can be as powerful as what civil society ultimately would really wish for their country. So ANC right now is a thing of the past. I mean, ANC is history. It belongs to the dustbins of our history. Look at what happened yesterday in Rustenburg. Who would have imagined you can have ANC on May Day, where the president of the tripartite alliance is not allowed? When he was expecting over 20,000 people, only 5,000 came to disrupt him.
Do you believe?
What I'm trying to say, this affects. These are not this. What I'm telling you, this is not some professor who did some analysis from his computer. You know, I'm giving you facts, real facts of what happened.
Do you think that the Independent Electoral Commission is safe from possible abuse by those who are afraid to lose power?
There's no doubt about that. The IEC, if we are going to be naive, but they will play games against us. But fortunately enough, our Electoral Act, including our Constitution, give us the protection. And the only way we can protect ourselves from this abuse is to ensure that they know that we don't trust them. We must not really shy away and hold them accountable, and make sure that we have professional party agents, because the only way you can steal elections in South Africa, that's when you don't have proper professional party agents. There's no way you can steal our elections in this country at this point in time. The only way you can steal it, if us as civil society decide, no, on the day of election, we say, no, this has got nothing to do with me. Let me go and go to the Shebina and go and watch rugby. But one thing for sure, ActionSA is mobilizing South Africans, not only to come and vote, also to actually be party agents. That's why we're a party that can boast of having in excess of 160,000 volunteers.
But elections can be rigged before they happen. I mean, it's not just on the day of the elections when you're wearing your fancy T-shirt and share that election. Sometimes you do have to keep an eye on who prints the ballot papers, who controls the IT system, who transports the ballot papers, who stores the ballot papers. Are you guys going to have an eye on that entire value chain?
You see, so if you're a person, you believe in luck, you will have that kind of thinking. That is why I'm saying is elections in this country can only be stolen if opposition parties are fast asleep. Because at every voting station, when you have professional party agents, we will know how many people came to vote.
Okay.
And we count the votes. So there can't be any difference between what they ultimately record at IEC than what actually happened at a voting station. So at every station, you've got to have agents who must obviously sign up. By the time IEC releases their election results, we know what's happening, how we perform in each of the voting district. So, like on Wednesday, we've got a by-election in Ward 91 in 96 in Pretoria, in Tshwane. There's no way you're gonna steal our elections. We will know how many people voted. Our agents are going to be there until they sign off the results. And by the time IEC, the other ones who are ultimately going to release the elections. If obviously there's a difference between what all the party agents have signed and what they're reporting, they have to answer.
Okay, let's talk scenario planning, Herman. Are you, as you do all these amazing things to grow the ActionSA, are you keeping an eye on what's going on in the ANC? They have an elective conference coming up later this year. We know that it's divided broadly in two halves. There's one half that has been coalesced around Jacob Zuma that wants to kick the current leadership of the ANC out. And do you guys say to yourself, okay, we're heading to the elections in 2024. What scenario A? Ramaphosa stays in power until 2024. What do we do? Scenario B, they kick him out of power and some other person, say Mahashule becomes, God forbid, the leader of the ANC towards
why say God forbid? Are you a Cyril Ramaphosa? What's the difference between
Let me finish my question. Let me finish my question. You know, I've always learned that in politics, you choose the least of the devils. You don't look for angels in politics. So if you have two politicians in front of you, you have to say which one can I stand, which one do I not. You're not going to find it, and I don't believe that you can find angels in politics. So in my view, okay, let me ask. Okay, fine. I mean, I love you, but you don't stop. I mean, okay. Let me ask myself differently. My question is differently. Is it the same thing to you whether the ANC is led by Ramaphosa or somebody else in our road towards 2024?
I can't see any difference. Honestly and genuinely, I can't see any difference. Exactly, I'm dealing with the same devil.
Okay. Okay.
And I genuinely mean it.
No, I hear you. I mean, I hear you. Look, it is an opportunity for you to say to our audience out there, this is where ActionSA stands, and of course we thought about this and this and this and this. This is how we're going to approach it. That's what I'm asking you to do.
No, whether they're going to be 2 or 3, I know right now I'm going to be dealing with the same devil. So, and that's why ActionSA makes it abundantly in advance, so that civil society is aware, not to expect us as ActionSA one day to say, why don't you consider going with Cyril Ramaphosa? Because there are some people out there, I don't know what they smoke. They think ActionSA it's not wise to really make such pronouncement in advance. They believe Cyril Ramaphosa's team is much better. Honestly, I believe so, and I don't need to really be convinced.
Okay. Can you work with John Steenhuisen?
Very difficult. Yes, I think I'll have no option, because I think the DA has got good people that behind them. Obviously, John Steenhuisen at the moment under the leadership of Helen Zille will work with them, but it's going to be very difficult to really working with them with Helen Zille, because Helen is the kind of person who can actually pass a lie detector test under any circumstances, so it'll be a very difficult relationship. But I think the majority of DA people, we're happy to work with them. That's why we are going to attract them over the next 2 years.
So are you saying loudly enough to South Africans, stop asking us telling us there's no alternative to the ANC? ActionSA is here. Do you think they hear this message? Is that the message you want to send out, first of all? And do you think more people need to hear it?
Well, I think Solly gave you the effects of our electoral support with the IEC sabotaging us. We changed the political direction of South Africa.
Yeah.
We came out with the groundbreaking results, results that not even Nelson Mandela has ever achieved in terms of diversity. With the political party that appeals to all South Africans, being Alexander, Soweto, Sandton, Morningside, Otterkloof, and so forth. You'll see the results on Thursday morning. Follow to see how ActionSA is going to really perform. And this ward, it's predominantly white and Afrikaners.
But if you work with the, I'm going back to the EFF at local government, they will not allow you to support the appointment of legitimate white South Africans. From where I sit, the EFF doesn't like white people. I mean, we've got white. South Africa is a diverse country, so they're going to tell you can't appoint this white person, even if they are South African and they have what it takes to do the job.
Oh, well, look, sorry, there are certain things that are negotiable and there are certain things that are not negotiable. EFF is not going to really determine who we must appoint. Obviously, if obviously they've got a genuine reason as to the capability of that or an ability of that person, we are happy to listen.
Mm-hmm.
I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
EFF supported my mayor from the time I introduced my mayors. A week after I took over, EFF supported. How many whites did I have? Probably 50% or so of my mayoral committee members were white. Okay. EFF supported that.
Yeah, I think that's something else to clear. I'm glad that you raised that issue, Herman. Some perception was given that the DA never stood with you. You went out on your own to work with the EFF. And some people think, and I'm one of the people I have to say, who thought, but wait a minute, he was part of the DA. They supported, they knew that they couldn't get some things done without the support of the EFF. Now, why are they suddenly saying, well, this dude went off, and at least some people in the DA, maybe not all of them, are saying, well, this dude went off and worked with it. What happened there? Was it Herman Mashaba and the EFF in Johannesburg, or was it the Herman Mashaba representing the DA and the EFF in Johannesburg?
No, it was. I think honestly, the DA just loudly in the matters with the EFF. The DA was against me providing services to poor communities. Where they felt, why must I take the residents' money to really focus on people who don't vote for the DA, people who don't pay taxes. And I think this was one of the most deepest hurt that DA used to subject me to. And I took serious exception to that. DA, secondly, DA, in the 3 years as I was a mayor, I remember I fired 3 DA MMCs. And in each case when I wanted to fire these people, the DA objected to this, and I never gave them an option, because every time I would say, this is just a courtesy, this is not a party political matter. Here I'm dealing with criminals, people who are stealing money, or who have stolen public monies, who are involved in corruption. I had to threaten to resign, to say, if you're not allowing me to fire this guy, then I'm resigning tomorrow. And one thing for sure with Herman Mashaba, I'm not going to lie to the public. Okay. In the 3 years I was in the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, negotiating with all the parties, including the EFF. EFF has never come to me to discuss a tender, but I can't say the same about the DA coming to my house, asking me to introduce them to the officials.
Wow. Okay, Herman, I'm giving you, please, not more than 60 seconds to say anything that you think I haven't asked you that you really would like to say to our audience out there. What would you, 60 seconds, not more.
Well, I just really want to really appeal to South Africans. Please, come 2024, ANC is still in power. There's just no way that the economy of this country will sustain ANC's ineptitude, corruption, maladministration, and racial policies. So I'm appealing to South Africans, please go out and vote for a political party of your choice, as long as you don't vote for the criminal organization called the ANC.
They must remember to register, because we also hear people in the last minute say, oh, I forgot to register. So they do have to register first, right?
Absolutely. Actually, I can share something quickly with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just discovered last night two of my nephew and he just got married late last year, bought a house in the same ward.
Right.
It did not. I just realized yesterday that this young man has not registered.
There you go.
We're
Okay.
losing 2 votes.
Well, to our listeners out there, I could go on forever talking to him, and he's such a passionate South African, and I really love that he believes that South Africa, in order to become the country it must be, change has got to happen at the top, and it cannot happen without South Africans. So if you've come this far in this conversation with him, and I'm sure that you enjoyed the content, you enjoyed the discussion, please share this content, subscribe to our channel, worldview.com, and let us know if you want to support us. And to Herman, thank you very much. Thank you for coming to the party. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Zille, for the engagement. I wish we had another 2 hours.
We shall do it again another time. Obviously, this is Solim Weng at WorldView. Thank you again. Goodbye.